Wicked for Good is coming out next week, and I'm excited, honestly. This honestly was one of those movies I watched last year where I was just like, let's say it, Wicked pilled, and I do still want to see the musical one of these days, so definitely something to do. But we are a week away from the release. I'm actually going to be seeing it next Tuesday, and I cannot wait to watch it. And I want to break down the final trailer that released a month ago. I know I'm late, but it was just a lot of things happening where I was just trying to get back into the groove of it all, because in September I did 2 film festivals, and it was trying to cover as much as I could, and I actually covered another film festival online, so I packed on the movies and I was just completely burned out. But now I'm back, y'all. I'm really feeling refreshed, and I really am excited to get into the final leg of movies for 2025, which has been incredible. I have a top 10 so far that I'm going to be doing, but Wicked for Good might come in. It might come in and shake up that list for December, so we'll see. But the final trailer came out, and I watched it about 3 times now, and I've noticed some things in it. Now, I will tell you, I don't know much about the musical and what happens in it, except for minor things that people spoiled for me. By the way, don't be that person to spoil things for people unless they ask for it. I do think there's a lot in this trailer that is definitely going to make this such an epic movie, and I'll get into it. So potential spoilers here and there for the musical and what will happen here. So let's get into it. Premise reads, years after the events of Wicked, Elphaba Thropp, now known as the Wicked Witch of the West, continues her fight for animal rights while living as a fugitive. Meanwhile, Galinda Upland, now recognized as the Galinda the Good, is a public figure watched over by the wizard as well as Madame Morrible. As they face the consequences of their actions, their relationship is put to the test by a series of events, including the surprising arrival of Dorothy Gale from Kansas that will change the land of Oz forever. So, we do know, of course, Dorothy will be appearing in this film. Now, I've read it, and some people have been saying that Dorothy won't actually be seen, like her face or anything like that, which I find interesting if that's the case. I heard some rumors of who was playing Dorothy, but I guess it's not true at all. But this trailer here starts off by showcasing that indeed Galinda the Good is seen as a savior to Oz. Madame Morrible clearly is pulling the strings. We see how her bubble contraption works, and of course Galinda is eating it all up. Now, it's been several years. I'm not too entirely sure how many years. We do see that Fiyero is there and that Glinda is living her best life, and of course we see the contrast here between Galinda the Good as well as the Wicked Witch of the West. Now, we see Elphaba, of course, make her return here, and I'm curious to see what exactly Elphaba has been up to all this time, right? Of course, we know she is against the wizard and everything that he does and Oz, and how they sort of have been manipulating people to go against animals and not have them be present. Even though they're able to talk, they're sentient, and they have been part of the society, the wizard doesn't want them. He needs to have an enemy, and the animals were the closest thing he could get to. And of course, we see our wizard lies right there. And this is the shot where I was just like, oh, let's see where this is going. Because of course we see Galinda and Elphaba having a show off. But in the background, Dorothy's home from Kansas right there, smack dab. And I think this, of course, is like paralleling to the Wizard of Oz, where we see Dorothy make it to Oz. We see Elphaba then with the flying monkeys, which of course were enemy number 1 for her at the end of Wicked. But by the end of it, we saw that they ultimately might not just be her enemy. And in this case, she's going to free them from the wizard's chains, and this is why I think they sort of have an allegiance to her. We do know in The Wizard of Oz, of course, that the Wicked Witch of the West uses the monkeys for her own advantage. And in Wicked, in this world, it's almost parallel, but there's slight differences because, of course, in The Wizard of Oz, they do paint the Wicked Witch of the West as a true villain. And I feel like she really is a true villain, because this is kind of like a whole other like twist on it here, where Elphaba really was the good guy all along. And I really love these shots where we see the monkeys and Elphaba flying together. More banners that are showcasing how wicked the witch is. And this is definitely more in tune with how Wicked starts off, when the Wicked Witch of the West has now been destroyed, according to many, and Glinda shows up to the Munchkins to celebrate this. We have some more of Elphaba and also Glinda here, showcasing that they indeed have this strained relationship, but would still hopefully like to be friends. But of course, you still have to put up a fight in front of the people, because if people see Glinda warming up to Elphaba, they're going to be like, you're not Glinda the Good. You're just like the Wicked Witch of the West. This is such an interesting shot as well, with Elphaba coming here to see all of the animals that have now been taken into custody by the wizard and all of Oz. And we start to see Fiyero sort of start to switch his allegiance. He sees the way that Elphaba has been treated, and I think he, of course, is feeling ashamed for him sort of participating in this alongside Galinda, and we could see that that is where the tides start to turn. I think Madame Morrible, of course, also knows that this is bound to happen and decides to make an event that's going to sort of shift the focus of what's going on here. And that event here is this tornado, which of course is going to be the tornado, as you see in this shot right here, that sweeps up Dorothy home in Kansas and brings her to Oz, because they need a hero, right? They need a hero to take down the Wicked Witch of the West. And this is the best way to do it. Somebody who's not even of this world, because they're easily manipulated. Elphaba seems to be having this dream as well, and this is probably going to be right at the beginning of the film where she's having the dream of the house flying in, and here it is, the house that is going to crash land on Oz. And of course we know in the Wizard of Oz, this house crash lands on Nessa Rose, who is Elphaba's sister, and I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen here. So really feeling for Nessa Rose in this movie. Money shot right here, one of my favorite shots from the trailer, of course, is Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion arriving to meet the wizard, and the wizard of course says, "Bring me the broom of the Wicked Witch of the West and I will grant you your wish." And we do of course know that the wizard has no power. And one thing to note as well is we do know that Coleman Domingo will be voicing the voice of the Lion. And we'll talk about the Scarecrow and the Tin Man towards the end, because that's going to get into some spoilers. So I don't want to give spoilers if you don't want them. So stay tuned. I'll tell you though when I'm talking about them, because of course that's spoilers. So you can go away from this video and come back after we've seen the movie. But more shots of Elphaba flying, Fiyero and Elphaba, Galinda and Elphaba. Such a interesting dynamic all of these characters have, of course, because we do know that they are all pretty much like having feelings for each other, right? Whether it's friendship, whether it's love, and all of this, they have strong feelings for each other, as we saw in Wicked, and it creates an interesting dynamic between all of them that I think is just going to be beautiful to see in Wicked for Good. This shot right here of Galinda having her wedding, which I'm assuming is going to be, of course, to Fiyero, is just so reminiscent of the shot from Crazy Rich Asians. Jon Chu, of course, directed that movie as well, so we do know how Jon Chu loves to envision weddings to be, and I'm excited for that. But we see, of course, it gets crash landed by the animals being freed at some point, and Madame Morrible just completely is pissed off about it. This could be the catalyst that sort of makes Madame Morrible decide to do the tornado to bring Dorothy Gale, because she's had enough of Elphaba and what she's doing. And I think that that definitely is her reasoning there. Now, this is such a beautiful shot, of course, also of Fiyero and Elphaba finally being together, and through the power of magic just floating and love and all of that. More shots of the Tin Man, but we'll get to the Tin Man in a bit. The Cowardly Lion. Nessa Rose with the slippers that are going to have her floating. It's changed a bit from the musical as well, and we'll talk more about that at the end, because I don't want to get into spoilers for the musical just yet. But overall, I really do love a lot of the shots in the trailer, even this one with the wizard, Galinda, and Elphaba dancing together, which is kind of odd, but we'll see how that plays out. Also, this one right here, Dorothy finally grabbing the broom of the Wicked Witch of the West, which I think is going to be interesting. And this really has me thinking more that indeed we will not see Dorothy's face here. So I don't think we'll see an actress playing Dorothy. Maybe we'll just hear her voice, because at the end of the day, this isn't the Wizard of Oz, right? They're trying to do just Wicked, focus on Galinda, focus on Elphaba, so it makes sense to have her like this. And I think from what I remember hearing, this whole sequence is going to be done through shadows, so that should be great to see how it works out. But I'm very excited for Wicked for Good and what's to come, and this trailer just has me more amped up. We see, of course, in this trailer that Madame Morrible is the one responsible for the tornado that brings Dorothy into Oz. And I think she does this because Elphaba is sort of maybe making some way into freeing the animals and getting people to realize that the wizard maybe isn't all that great. And Madame Morrible needs to bring sort of a big event like this to get everybody else pissed at Elphaba, and also bring a hero in, quote unquote hero, that doesn't know anything about the Wizard of Oz or anything that's going on here, and have them be the ones that take out the Wicked Witch of the West, because it's just easier that way. And also Nessa Rose here will be paying the price for Elphaba, because of course, as we know in the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's house lands on Nessa Rose, and that's pretty much who gets taken out by it. Now, like I said, I'm excited for this movie. I cannot wait to discuss it. I will talk more spoilers for what happens in the musical in a video on Friday. And then on Tuesday, we're going to go watch the movie at an early screening. Wednesday, I'll have a review out for it. And then Wednesday night or Thursday morning, we'll talk spoilers about the movie and all of that. And then on Friday next week, we'll talk about, is there a future for Wicked after Wicked for Good? Because there could be. There's more books. So I'm excited to get Wicked pilled with y'all here. So expect about 6 or 5 more videos from me just discussing Wicked. And I cannot wait. So stay tuned for that. But let's get into spoilers now for what potentially we're seeing in this trailer that some people think could be kind of a big spoiler. So if you don't want spoilers for Wicked that are diving into the musical and all of that, you definitely want to click off right now. Thank you for watching the video up until this point. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you know when our videos drop for more Wicked content. Like I said, I'll be doing 2 more videos this week for Wicked, and then next week we'll have the review, the ending explained, analysis, as well as could we potentially see more Wicked movies in the future. So stay tuned for all of that. But let's get into spoilers in 1, 2, 3. So right now, you're in spoiler territory for the musical and what potentially is going to happen in Wicked for Good. So if you're still here and it was a mistake, this is your next chance. So let's get out of here. So don't forget to hit the subscribe and hit the notification bell. But let's get into spoilers here. So as we know, in Wicked, we will eventually see the Tin Man, we will see the Scarecrow, we will see the Lion. But here in Wicked, they try to give these characters a bit more backstory. So let's start off with the really more obvious one, right? In the movie Wicked, we saw the young lion cub. Well, that young lion cub turns out to be the lion as we get into Wicked for Good that we see. That is the lion, the cub that we saw in Wicked got big. So that's the line right there. But how do we explain the Tin Man and the Scarecrow? Well, the Tin Man is going to be none other than Bok. Bok, of course, is turned into the Tin Man. And this is happening for various reasons. I don't know exactly how it happens in the movie or if they're going to change it from the book or the musical or whatever. But it's through a spell that I believe Rose tries to do, and it goes bad, and we eventually see that Bok gets turned into the Tin Man. There is a version where this happens because Rose finds out that Bok actually likes Glinda, and that's who he really wants to be with, and that's why we see Bok have no heart. And Bok, of course, is then turned into the Tin Man. Now, in the case of the Scarecrow here, who is the Scarecrow? It is Fiyero. Fiyero turns into the Scarecrow because Elphaba tries to protect Fiyero when he eventually turns on the wizard and everybody and tries to help her. So he won't get killed. She turns him into straw. So he's not able to get killed. There's no flesh. There's no blood. And it's a spell that also goes kind of wrong. So these 2 characters are ultimately tragically turned into the Tin Man and the Scarecrow, and they eventually do join Dorothy. I don't know if they have their memories or not in it. I'm not too that in deep with it, with the musical and stuff like that. This just got spoiled to me last year when Wicked came out, so I just known this information. I don't know how it's going to work out in the film or in the future, but that's pretty much what I know as of now, and it definitely was something that I found interesting. They decided to showcase in the trailer. I was just like, oh, they're gonna show that already, right? Now, something else they did change as well is I believe in the musical that Rose is able to walk with the slippers, and here she's going to float. So that's something they're going to do different as well in the movie to the book or the musical. I don't know if the book is different. People have told me the book is a lot different than the musical, but you let me know. I'm still interested in reading that as well. But the whole ending here is going to be kind of insane to me if they pull it off, but I'll talk more about that in the video on Friday where we're going to dive deeper into spoilers for the musical and what happens, so stay tuned for that. But those were some of the things from the trailer. I really enjoy it. I love it. I cannot wait to hear the full musical score and everything once it's out, and I'm excited, y'all. I'm honestly genuinely excited. Let me know what you think of the trailer, and if you're excited for Wicked for Good. When are you going to watch it? Comment down below. I want to do a whole live discussion. Maybe I'm thinking Saturday night when most people have watched it, or either Sunday. Let me know what y'all think. I'm going to leave a poll for y'all so y'all can vote when we should do a live discussion. Maybe an hour or 2 just talking about Wicked and what we thought and where it goes from here. But anyways, I'll see all of you next time on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Let's get to it. Hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Wicked for Good. We are Wicked pilled this whole week, so cannot wait. Maybe I'll do a cosplay. Stay tuned. But as always, I'll see you all next time. Stay safe, stay positive.